Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as we close off what's been a far busier week than I think most Celtic fans anticipated, we have a few things to round up, including huge developments with Celtic target Benjamin Nygren. So sit down, relax, chill, let's end off the week with some positivity, because what a week it's been. Celtic getting the business done early. Who'd have thought it? If you haven't already, please go down below, hit like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. Once again, thank you everybody for getting us over the 50,000 subscriber mark. What a huge accomplishment for us here in the channel. So I do appreciate every single one of you. If you want to stay up to date with all the developments in this transfer window, then make sure those buttons are pressed. We have a few things to cover today, and it's Friday, so I don't want to keep you here long. Everybody's gasping for a pint. I can feel it through the camera. So let's just get cracking with today's video. We're going to start with the developments surrounding that player we mentioned in the intro to the video, Benjamin Nygren. So yesterday on the channel, I briefly mentioned Benjamin Nygren and said that Celtic were reportedly interested in his situation with a contract near expiration in Denmark at this moment in time. He's a player who will be available on a cut price fee this summer transfer window, and it looked like there was a lot in it. I said it yesterday, there was credibility, there was genuine reading in that to be intrigued about. Well, it developed very quickly, because by the time night came, it looked as though Celtic had their man. Because these are the sort of reports that came out late last night. This was Anthony Joseph of Sky Sports who broke the news that Celtic have been granted permission by Nordjylland to speak to Benjamin Nygren, and it's understood that Celtic are currently in talks with the Swedish international's representatives. If Celtic can agree terms with Nygren, who is currently on holiday, they will enter negotiations with his club FC Nordjylland in Denmark, and he could very quickly become a Celtic player. So these were huge stories coming out last night in regards to him, in regards to Celtic's quest to sign him. It's looking ever more likely that he will become a Celtic player, could become one of our first signings in this summer window, if all things go smoothly when it comes to personal terms. And honestly, I think that the terms of the club itself will be pretty easy to get done from what we're hearing. But as long as personal terms go smoothly, I don't see many stumbling blocks with this one. So more details have emerged about the potential deal as well. So if you're interested in how much this could be costing Celtic, well, Tease in Denmark, a publication we have used a number of times over the past few years in relation to Matt O'Reilly and Kasper Schmeichel in particular, they have said that the deal could cost around 15 million kroner, which might sound daunting, but if you convert that to pounds, well, that's only £1.7 million. So yesterday we were sitting here talking about a potential £2 million deal. That has now dropped to 1.7 million, and it seems like that is the sort of fee that Nordjylland will be happy with, considering his details with his contract. It expires at the end of the calendar year, which means, you know, they either sell him now and make some money, or they lose him on a free in the January window. He's confirmed he wants to leave the club this summer. Nordjylland don't really have a leg to stand on, and via Tipsbladet we found out that around £1.7 million will be enough to get the deal done. If Celtic and Nygren agree on the terms, Celtic will begin their negotiations with Nordjylland. Therefore, it will be a summer transfer and not a winter transfer when his contract expires. The price is around 15 million kroner, which should not be a problem for Celtic to find. So there have been other clubs linked with the player. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but this is one that is accelerating very, very quick. That we are progressing at a pace here which seems like it's going to happen. Of course, there's never guarantees with these things. Moves can collapse at the 11th hour all the time, but we are at that point now where it's looking very realistic he will become a Celtic player. So after my video yesterday, it was, of course, my first task was to go and read up more about the player and figure out whether or not this is a signing that works for Celtic. And in my opinion, I think it's a great signing. I think it's a player that will add depth in that area of the pitch that I think some people have been really crying out for creativity. Now, I'm very happy with the midfielders we have at the club. Rio Hatate, Arne Engels, Callum McGregor, and beyond that we have good depth, Bernardo McCowan. But I think that we've lacked a real number 10 type player, and that was something that was really touched upon by the Celtic support in the later half of the season. Now, there's no disputing how good a player that Rio Hatate is and how good a player that Arne Engels can be. But I don't think they're naturally number 10s. And maybe we just need that sometimes to just bridge that gap between the midfield and the attack, where sometimes it's been a bit stale in games where teams are playing a low block. We've maybe needed a player like this, and with his versatility across the front line as well, this is a guy that can do a number of jobs for Celtic when signing. So he might not even get used as a number 10. He might be put back out to his natural position, which is on the right wing, where he's played the majority of his career. He's also played a short amount of time in the left wing, but primarily I think we'll see him used as a number 10, because that's where he enjoyed the great form of last season. I mean, I'll throw up his stats again to remind you from yesterday's video. I mean, 19 goal contributions in the 24-25 campaign from attacking midfield inside 32 appearances. That is such a great return, and I think he will fit right in. For £1.7 million, you really can't go wrong with this. I think it's a bit of a bargain, and I know that some people will approach this with the whole, it's bargain bucket stuff and it's Celtic being cheap. No, it's Celtic being smart. Celtic still will spend in this window. He's not going to be the only player we sign. You can't knock back statistics like that for a fee like that. I think this is just a really clever signing to add to the depth of our already great attacking players. Of course, things aren't done yet, and just to add this in for the sake of scepticism and caution, we still have competition to go through. Apparently, Anderlecht and Copenhagen are still following the case closely. Several MLS clubs are also mentioned. This came from a Swedish publication, Football Transfers, who seem to be quite on the ball with these things up there. And it's not done by any stretch. It's looking likely it'll be Celtic, but if Anderlecht or Copenhagen catch wind of all of this, which I'm sure they have by now, they could very easily call his agent and offer a better deal. So always keep that room for caution there. There's no 100% guarantee until they're in Parkhead or they're in Ross Hall doing the medical. So we'll just need to watch and wait and see. But I think this is all good to go, basically, with that little room for caution and pessimism and just general weariness. It's the big story to finish off the week, so hopefully we have photos of either him or Callum Osmond in Celtic shirts to start off the week on Monday. But patience, that's all we need, a little bit of patience, because it's still a very exciting window to come ahead of this. We don't want all the work done instantly. Michel Balikwisha is another player who this summer I've been very vocal about, and I've already said I'm confident will become a Celtic player. Now, yesterday on social media he was playing some games which has got Celtic fans wondering, is that a hint? Is that an Easter egg? Is he about to become a Celtic player? Well, here was his Instagram story last night. It was a photo of him in an airport saying that here we go again with a sand timer emoji, an hourglass emoji, and maybe hinting at the fact he's off somewhere to make a move. I never typically read into these sort of posts that much because, the guy might just be away on holiday. Yeah, and Celtic fans love to get carried away with things like this. For all we know, it could have been a flight to Glasgow, but we've had no updates since. It was almost 24 hours ago. I'm assuming that if it was a flight to Glasgow or London for a move to Celtic, we would have heard by now. I think that somebody would have picked up that story and the rumours would be circling, but I genuinely think this is just a picture from him going on his holidays. We are still in that phase right now where players who aren't on international duty are on their holidays, so I think that's all it is, and he's maybe just thinking to himself, I'll have a wee bit of fun here. So I know people will be desperate to ask me about that in the comments section. I wouldn't read into it. That's just my opinion, but when there's more to think about and more to dissect, we'll know it, and I don't think it's this. Now, I didn't really want to talk about this on the channel this week because I really feel like it's futile and it's a waste of time. However, I would be ignorant not to. I want to talk about Evan Ferguson very, very quickly. His name has done the rounds the last 24 hours or so with his situation at Brighton and with the Irish national team manager saying that he needs to find somewhere to play football. And there is rumours going about the forums and such that Celtic could be a real possibility for Evan Ferguson in this transfer window. Now, do I fully believe that? No, I really don't, and I think that I don't want to come on here and just shoot it down. I don't have any insider knowledge to do that. I would just be incredibly surprised if Celtic was the destination that Evan Ferguson ends up at. this summer, but it won't stop all the links and it won't stop the articles, and it certainly doesn't help when you have his national team manager out saying go somewhere you'll play football, which could be Celtic. This is what Heimir Hallgrimsson said to the media. I think it's a good window for him, to be honest. When I called him, he said he's fit and he's ready. I would be unhappy if he wasn't unhappy with his current situation. The limited playing time, he needs to prove a point. That's the issue as well. It would be good to see for us. So Ferguson's name is naturally doing the rounds, with Celtic looking at potential striking options. I think Evan Ferguson would be a good option. The only thing that puts me off him is the fact that his limited game time over this past season or so has brought his stock down to a level where I'm like, is that the sort of player Celtic should be gambling on? Is it the fitness issues, the limited game time? But we know how good he can be, and Celtic might just be the exact club for somebody like him to spark up his career again. And of course, the Irish links will always do him hundreds of favours at this club. So yeah, listen, it's one to see if it goes anywhere. I would just say that I don't see it. Apparently clubs like Everton are looking at him and other Premier League sides are monitoring the situation. If that's the case, I just really don't see him coming up here. So I know it's one that people are getting excited about, and I've seen people mention it in my comment section, but I would keep yourself grounded. Who knows though? Never say never. Right, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Don't worry, just because it's the weekend doesn't mean I'll be stopping. If there's any news or any stories to cover, you know where to get it, right here. We'll be here to give all the opinions and all the facts, filtering out the shite. You know, that's what I'm here to do. Yeah, take care of yourself. Enjoy your weekend if I don't see you. And God bless. I'll see you all next time.